It's 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start off this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. We want to start off by having a new staff member introduced. So, Kelly, would you take the honors,
yes,
please?
Yes, Mayor, I am pleased to introduce to you Michael Borovets, who's going to be our new city clerk as of 5 o'clock tomorrow. And
AM or PM?
PM. And so we would like to welcome him, and we'd like to thank Jen for her service because her last day is tomorrow.
I'd like to thank you, Jen, for your service. And
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Michael.
He's going to do great.
You want to stand up and make a speech? No pressure on your butt.
We'll wait till
Okay. All right. City licenses, you can see that there's 3 there. Ken's Computer Repair, Combustion Service, the Singleton Community Clothes Closet. Appointments, we have 2 resignations on the Planning and Zoning Appeals inside the city limits. Those applications are due Monday. I think we've received three applications for 2 positions. That's wonderful. Moving on then, the adoption of the consent agenda. Gentlemen, your pleasure is on the consent agenda this evening.
I'm okay with it.
You good? I'm good. Okay. Entertain a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right. Been moved and seconded that we approve items A, B, C, D, and E of the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so we're ready for public hearings. And there's a public hearing to close out the CDBG grant for rehabilitation of Basin 5. So the hearing is now open.
Hello. You guys finally are done with your last open CDBG project. So you're here this evening to close out that final project. This is going to be the Basin 5 sewer project. And then you have some documents that you can sign, and we can go on our way. And hopefully maybe you'll have another project in the future you guys want to partner with CDBG on. But just briefly, you guys were able to address 4,083 linear feet of sewer line, 32 manholes, and 35 service connections. The total project cost was $1,086,008.80, of which $500,000 of that was paid for with CDBG funds. So those are your total project costs. So if you have any questions while I'm here, I'd be glad to answer them.
So the exact term closeout means that this concludes that grant. Is
Correct.
that correct?
That's correct. Construction, I believe, is 100% complete. Yep. So this would be the last bit of paperwork to finish up, and then you can box it up. Yep.
Okay. Questions? Gary? Leonard?
No.
Questions? Thank you very much. So we need to act on this?
You need to close the public hearing.
We need to close the public hearing, and then I guess we need to officially close out the CDBG grant for rehabilitation of Basin 5.
Right, and that's authorizing you to sign the documents to close it out.
Now, authorize the mayor to sign the documents. Would there be a motion?
I make a motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the documents closing out the CDBG grant for the rehabilitation of Basin 5.
Second?
Okay, been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item G, public hearings to consider condemnation of the following structures as dangerous and unsafe. Number 1 on the list, and we'll open the public hearing for 404 North 4th Street. Go ahead, Don.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This structure has had a fire. Last time we spoke with the owner, it's their intent to have the structure removed. So it is the staff's recommendation that we adopt a resolution condemning the structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Okay. Questions, Leonard?
Have you had contact with the owner? Have they scheduled the removal of the property yet?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, but they say that that's their intent. Their intent was not to repair, but to remove.
Okay. Okay. I entertain a motion then to,
You need to close the public hearing.
close the
Sorry.
public hearing, I'm sorry. Then we need to entertain a motion then for to condemn as dangerous and unsafe 404 North 4th Street. Would there be a motion?
I make a motion that we proceed with condemnation and declare 404 North 4th Street a dangerous and unsafe structure.
I'd second that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 6:15, we'll open the public hearing on 6:15 and a half North 8th.
Yeah, there was a structure fire. Obviously, the structure has been removed by the owner. There is the issue of the pad. So what I would like to do is adjourn the public hearing for 30 days to review with them how they're going to dispose of the pad or how they're going to use that concrete pad or what their plan is with it. We do appreciate them taking that down and removing it, but we do want to resolve the issue of the pad. So I would like to adjourn for 30 days.
Comments?
No.
Okay, you good?
Has deposit been returned to the owner for the demolition permit?
No. There's a question of them not coming in to get the permit as well that we need to address.
Okay. No further questions?
No.
I'll close the hearing then. You got it, Jim. And then, do we need to act on that?
You need to make a motion to adjourn.
To make a motion then, that we adjourn the hearing on 6:15 and a half North 8th.
Don't you need to table that?
And to table it,
To adjourn.
we can do that after. Okay, I'd make a motion then we adjourn the hearing on 6:15 North 8th. Would there be a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we table this for 30 days, correct? Okay. Does that need to be a motion?
Nope, you're good.
No. Okay. Item 3 is 725 North Penn.
I believe that the owner may be here. Did you want to speak?
Please state your name, sir.
Samuel Wood. We bought it and want to fix it up. We started repairing the windows and cleaning it up. Plan to fix it and sell it.
How long ago did you buy it?
I think it was last week. So we've just begun working on it and getting it going, but looks pretty good. It just needs a lot of cleaning and painting, and we've got the electric on and tested some of the electric, and the main sewer going to the road looks like it's clear. It's draining water, so I don't know what all is going on with the sewer in the house and the and the water supply in the house, but we'll get to that. So just a lot of repair. The roof's okay. The foundation's okay.
We've had a chance to review. He's had a chance to go over the checklist that we've done, that I put together after the HQS inspection. Went over the process that told him that it would be my recommendation tonight that we condemn that. But even with the condemnation, that would allow us to set the time frame for the repairs and to move that forward. So
So
I didn't know if you had any questions, Sam, or any comments.
you understand, basically what we're going to ask for is a timeline for when, because after the condemnation, you have basically 9 months.
Is there anything that could postpone the condemnation?
If,
Then the condition it is, and then I'm working on it.
if the foundation, the roof, and the walls are solid, it's not unsafe. So why would we go ahead?
We
and
could adjourn
declare-
it for 60 days and look at it that time, but it won't, at this point, it won't pass an HQS inspection, and that's been one of the standards that we go by. I'd be agreeable to adjourn it for 60 days and revisit at that time.
good with that.
Yeah, I just don't see if it's not an unsafe structure and he's in the process of working on it. I'd be in favor of adjourning for 60 days.
I agree. When we do this, but that gives us, usually when we condemn, that gives us the framework to work within, to work with the homeowners, to get these done. Without it, there's not as much as control of the process. That's why we like to move. Doesn't mean we're going to move towards removing it. Allows us to set a time frame on that.
Yeah, but once the condemnation is declared and placed on the property, then it shuts off all financing.
And we've discussed that as well, and that won't be a concern in this property. But
Yeah.
if you're agreeable to adjourn it for 60 days, that's agreeable to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay. All right, we close the hearing then on 725 North Penn. I'd make that motion that we close the hearing. Would there be a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then we'll table this for 60 days and bring it back.
We'll need a motion to adjourn for 60 days.
Motion to adjourn for 60 days is what I meant to say.
Okay.
I amended. Okay. So it was moved and you seconded?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 4 is 800 South 6th Street.
Yes. This property is in very bad condition. We have been in contact with the owner. It's a mother and a daughter. The mother and daughter have both expressed an interest in signing a waiver that would allow us to remove this quicker than going through the regular process. But I have not received those forms back as of this meeting. So it would be staff's recommendation that we adopt a resolution condemning this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Any comments from commissioners? Gary? No.
No.
All right, close the hearing then on 800 South 6th Street. Is there a motion for that? We have to do a motion on each one of those, Jim?
I'll move that we condemn the structure at 800 South 6 as dangerous and unsafe.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, 1124 West Maple Street.
This is a favorite topic of conversation for many people. This seems to deteriorate daily. We find it very, very unsafe, and staff recommendation that we adopt a resolution condemning this structure as dangerous and unsafe. There was a vehicle that was there that has been removed. I'm not sure who removed it because we have received no response from the owner to any of our letters regarding the property. But it is nice to see that vehicle has been removed.
So we close the hearing then on 1120. Any questions from you guys?
No.
Seems to me like as we proceed, so I'd make a motion, then we close the hearing. I'd make a motion that we declare 1124 West Maple Street as dangerous and unsafe and proceed with condemnation.
A second.
proceedings. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, 1207, open the hearing for 1207 North 8th.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's here for this property or not. Every time I've gone by, I cannot find anybody in there. When I look inside the windows, I see no evidence of anybody living there. The neighbor said that they have moved. I have done an HQS inspection when somebody was living there and found the major plumbing issues, major electrical issues, major issues with this structure. It is staff's recommendation that we adopt a resolution condemning this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Questions from the commission?
So you have done an inspection. So
There was somebody living there in the summer, and I had a complaint. The police went there and said that there was a complaint about sparks coming from an outlet. So went there and instructed them that they needed to have that repaired. Immediately gave the owner at that time the notice that they're required for an inspection. Went and did an inspection and found that it failed on many, many levels. Wrote a letter to the owner with one phone call saying that she would get it done. Did not get it done within the time frame, trying to follow up with no response. Then when I looked on the county website, the ownership had changed to the name of the person that was renting it. So then I tried to follow up with that person to no avail. And then that's when I went by and the neighbor said they moved out and are at another location. And I've gone by several times and cannot find anybody in there.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay, then we'll close the hearing on 1207 North 8th Street. Then, would there be a motion then to declare it dangerous and unsafe?
I'll move that we move forward with condemnation proceedings for 1207 North 8th.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion and seconds, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, one last one, number 7 on this one, is we'll open the hearing on 1307, 1304 West Myrtle Street.
This is a vacant property that just is slowly deteriorating. No response to any of our letters regarding this. See no work being done to rehabilitate the property. It would be staff's recommendation that we adopt a resolution condemning this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Questions? Comments? Okay, close the hearing. Would there be a motion then to recommend condemnation as, I'll make a motion then that we consider condemnation of the following 1304 West Myrtle Street as dangerous and unsafe. Would there be a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So we're done. Done for a little bit, Don. Okay, item for commission action. Consider bids received for the sale of surplus city items. Kelly?
We received bids for 3 of the items. We only received 1 bid each for those items. We're recommending accepting the bids for item 4 and 13 and rejecting the bid for item number 3.
Rejecting the bid on item number 3 because?
Because, and Terry is here, that's a generator that came out of the southeast lift station, and he has checked the value, and it is several $1,000s, much more than what was offered, and he believes that we could sell it at a later date for more money.
Okay, questions from the commission?
No, I could see the value to the city, even the temporary apparatus bay. You know, there's places we can even use it for the $3,500 we'd be losing to try and replace it. It's
Much, is there an estimate about how much that's worth? Is there?
At least 15,000, maybe more. It doesn't have the tank with it because they utilized it for something else, but it's only got about 100 hours on it, and it's a heck of a generator for.
No, I think you're right.
yeah, 150 kW. That's
Yeah, we need to keep that around.
fairly good
Never know.
size.
Yeah. Okay. Further comments, guys? All right, so I'd entertain a motion then to accept items number 4, the Indo flushing pump for $150 from Lisa Henson, and I'll make this in the form of a motion. That, and then item number 13, which is a grinder pump for $500 from Michael Conway with Brothers Railroad Inn. Would there be a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You'll need to reject the one for, can you formally reject item number 3, please?
Okay, would there be a motion to formally reject item number 3?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor then of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Okay. Item I, consider the date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for public hearing to consider condemnation of the following structures as dangerous and unsafe. 308 West Popular.
Yeah, it's staff's recommendation that we take no action at this time. There was a fire at this structure. However, it was a fire solely contained in the oven, only affecting the oven. There was no damage to the structure, no fire or smoke damage to the structure, so we recommend taking no action on that.
Okay.
Great.
Questions on that?
Nope.
No.
Okay. 610 Fountain Street.
This was a structure fire. There was major smoke and fire damage to the structure. I have talked to the insurance company. We have the insurance company information on this. As a matter of fact, I've been contacted by the owner. The insurance considers it a total loss, and the owner is looking into possibilities for having the demolition done and removal of the structure. So we recommend setting the date of April 27th of 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Okay. Questions?
No.
I'd make that motion. Then to set the date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 610 Fountain Street.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 716 South 6th.
Yes, this was another structure fire with significant damage. There is no insurance on this. And talking with the owners, I am not sure that they are going to be doing repairs on this. So it is staff's recommendation that we set the date of April 27th of 2017 for a public hearing to consider this structure, to consider condemnation of this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Questions?
No.
Would entertain a motion then to set the date.
I move that we set a date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 for a public hearing to consider condemnation on 716 South 6th.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 4 is 809 North 9th, and I believe the owner is here for that one.
Yes.
Is that correct, Mr. Hilliard?
Okay. Did you want to speak?
Well, I talked, Don Hill owns it right now. I'm buying it from him. And he told me the other day that I had some things I needed to do, but he didn't tell me what those things were. And that's what I'm here for, to find out what you want me to do.
Well, there is some wiring issues and different things involved with the fire that will need to be rectified.
Yeah, we plan on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have the part that got burnt fixed, and then an electrician will come in and redo the wiring.
Right. And those are the things that will need to be done.
Okay. How long do I have?
So, you mind?
Go ahead. You're doing a great
What
job.
we're going to do tonight is set a date to consider on April 27th whether or not we will condemn that structure. So what we're doing tonight is setting a date of April 27th. At that time, I can visit with you, see where we are with the repairs, and then I'll be able to make a recommendation whether we feel like it should be condemned or not at that time. This is just setting a date to consider it at that time.
Mr. Hilliard, if you would get with Don, and he can explain the process to you further and also establish the requirements and a date for when we would consider this, okay?
Okay.
That's the
So
process we go through.
That'll give us about 60 days before then to see where we are with the repairs and
Okay.
what state we're in. Okay?
So I just could talk to Don?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll get with you after the meeting and
Okay.
get you the information you need.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So your recommendation is we proceed?
Yeah, my recommendation, we proceed with setting the date of April 27th, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
So the problem is related to the wiring?
Yes, but there's going to be quite a bit of wiring that'll need to be done inside
Because of the fire?
because of the fire. Like I say, we're only setting a date now. If at the time it's done, then that may not even be an issue.
There was a fire in the house,
There was a fire in the kitchen,
in
yes.
the kitchen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then our option would be is there a motion then to set the date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m.? I'll make this a motion for public hearing to consider condemnation of the structure at 809 North 9th. Would there be a second?
Second.
Okay. Further questions or comments? All those in favor then signify by saying
Well,
aye.
I did have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Did we get the modifications done on the ordinance of damage beyond 25%? You know, we had it presented with one residence, R.J. Osborne's property, that wasn't damaged significant, and when it came to the hearing, it was mentioned that if it wasn't damaged beyond a certain point, then it didn't have to be condemned. And we talked about the changes in the ordinance to allow a minor damaged house to be repaired without going through condemnation. Did that just get dropped, or did we ever get anything?
Well, I believe that there was a discussion with April that she might be able to work on some wording for that. But if I remember correctly, R.J. Osborne's house was significantly damaged. However, they had already started repair, and it was a question of whether we should condemn it after it had been repaired, because that house was significantly damaged. And I remember it's the property that Randall Romans purchased.
Right.
Is that the
When
one
it-
you're talking about?
Yeah,
And that one was
because when it came to
significantly
the
damaged.
commission, instead of condemning, it was recommended that we postpone the condemnation for 90 days to allow them to work. Because, you know, with a minor damaged house, to go through all the condemnation, it takes a lot of time and adds a lot of cumbersome work to it.
Agreed.
You know, it seems like on this, we should have an avenue to work with the owner to get it repaired without occupying the
Yeah.
process.
Concerning Mr. Roman's house, you did condemn it.
I know.
Now, you did change it when you chose not to condemn Small's property. So we've kind of handled it two different ways. So yes, I have not completed that for Jeff's review at this time, but the commission's kind of handled it two different ways. So if you want it to be handled in a way that with the insurance and you don't want it to come before you, we can put forth that and do that.
Or on April 27th, if we do decide to set a date tonight, we can say it would just take no action
Correct.
and it would just go off of the agenda.
Right. The reason I brought it up is because we did discuss that, and the reason we did go ahead and condemn was because we had done in the past, any fire was automatically condemned, but our discussion was to be a little more, I don't want to say understanding, but, go by I don't know if you found a statute that said if it's not damaged over 25%, to make ours compatible with that. So I thought we were moving in that direction, and it was going to be done. And, we've had a couple houses like this, and I think we
Well, when the
need.
commission made that
think-
change on its own when you did Smalls, I mean, the commission took it upon yourself at that time, so I know I have not worked on it, but we can if that's what the commission so desires.
Yeah, 'cause I thought that's what we had talked about. I think staff needs to proceed so we can have this all done, not.
Can you define what the 25% means? Is that the value to repair? I mean, how are you wanting that 25%
Okay.
defined?
That was brought up to us, that factor. I haven't I'd be glad to research it and bring it back to you with the definition.
I
The-
think within the insurance industry, there's probably a definition out there already, and Don's got some experience in that area.
Well, I would say insured to value is usually what we would use, so whatever the insurance value is.
'Cause
there's
I've
the
heard it-
co-insur- I mean, there's a couple of factors. There would be the co-insurance, but usually it's what the replacement cost value is of the home.
And I've heard it's structural, if it's not damaged over 25% structurally, or
And
also
usually,
the
and
value.
that could be easy to determine if it's insured. An adjuster has come out and done an adjustment on it. It's easy to look at that. Where we might run into problems is on uninsured structures and trying to obtain a value, and then value of the home, and then the value of the damage. But
I'll look and see what it is, because some of the things I've seen have related to structural damage, because that kind of sets the margin, whether it's justifiable to repair or go ahead and raise. But, I thought we were moving forward on it, and I just wanted to double check to make sure we do.
Well, and you could have a structure that's 25% damaged, and depending on how or where it's damaged, it could be a blight to the neighborhood and not meet that 25% too. So I don't know how that would factor in as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I don't.
Well, we can look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to look at it. I just want to make sure that whatever we do, we're consistent.
Yeah.
And that was the point, that we need to get consistency and then also not bring everything to us that can be worked out with our inspection department.
Okay. So there was a motion and a second then to set the date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 to consider condemnation of 809 North 9th. Is there, been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, vote no.
Okay. You get that? Okay. All right. Item number 5 is 912 West Cottonwood Street.
This structure has had significant fire damage. And so it is staff's recommendation that we set the date of April 27th, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Seems like an easy one. Would there be a motion?
Sure. I move that we set a date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 912 West Cottonwood.
Second? All those
I'll
in-
second.
Go ahead. There's a second. All right. All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 6 is 1001 North 18th Place.
Yeah, this had a fire in the back bedroom, spread through the bedroom, inside, and around the outside. Significant damage. I have talked to the owner. She has got an insurance settlement because it's been vacant, that settlement was reduced. She's not sure whether or not she's going to repair. She's still trying to find out what her options are at this point. So it is staff's recommendation that we set a date of April 27th, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of this structure as dangerous and unsafe.
Questions?
You said it was vacant at the time of the fire?
Yes.
Okay. What's your pleasure, man?
I'll make a motion that we set the date of April 27th, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 1001 North 18th Place.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, number 7 is 1228 North 6th Street.
Don't know if they're
Is
here
that-
tonight or not.
Owner here.
This had 2 electrical fires on successive days within 24 hours of each other, 2 different spots. Nice house, but does have some smoke and fire damage from the electrical fires. Talked with the owner. They're obviously in the process of doing the repairs right now. I expect the repairs will be done fairly quickly, but it is staff's recommendation that we set the date of April 27th, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of the structure as dangerous and unsafe. And this option has been reviewed with the homeowners, and they're understanding the process, that due to the amount of damage to the home, that this is a process that we'll go through, but there is a good possibility that it will be repaired before April 27th.
Okay.
It's gutted pretty much now, hasn't it?
Yeah,
With the dumpster, have they
Yeah.
started removing walls?
They've
and
started the
things?
demo, so they should be pretty close to having the demo completed by tomorrow if it's not already completed.
Okay. It's your pleasure here, man.
I'll go with Don's recommendation.
Okay. Make a motion.
Sure. I move that we set the date of April 27th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 1228 North 6th.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
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 Last one, 2601 North 8th.
And I'm not sure if the owners are here for this or not. Okay. Did you want to speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, my name's Jim Wilhelm, and I got a letter from the city on the 30th of January. I moved back in the house on the 31st after $65,000. That's not when I need a letter of commendation. Now, are you condemning my property, which this letter says, or my structure?
Will be the structure.
That's not what this says. It says my property. That's eminent domain. Be glad my wife's not here. No, and be glad there's no KU. I really got no comment. We got still siding to put up that's coming from North Dakota, but
You're living in the house?
oh yeah.
This was a fire in the garage. So
A lot of smoke damage.
I'm fully confident that this structure will be fully repaired within 60 days.
The thing I question, and I think Mr. Kaflish brought it up, on this across-the-board standard for a fire. Suppose my shed had burned. Would you condemn my property?
If it was detached, they would just condemn the shed.
Well, this is a
That's-
standard form letter that says property.
Yeah, well, we've
And
done
Don
some that were just
told
broad.
me that the standard procedure, if there's a fire, that the property automatically goes into commendation.
Yeah.
Condemnation. It's hard to say. And I just urge you to look at what you're doing. We all know what it's like to be out of money and have problems we can't fix. Don't we? Or do you want me to bring them up?
No.
Because I will. I ask you, for those people with goodwill and intention, give them a break. And I want my house removed from any record of condemnation. And that's all I ask.
So your recommendation is to take no action?
One more thing. I want to thank the first responders of Independence. They were marvelous. Just marvelous. From taking their jackets off, which was Charlie Benedict, and giving them to my wife. Was that you? Bless your heart.
No, that was Charlie. I did the gloves.
Oh, but anyway, they were marvelous. My insurance agents have been marvelous. And not only that, the firemen went back in to rescue my cat. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want the record to say Charlie did give her the jacket. I gave her the gloves. And I agree. This fire could have been much worse if not for the efforts of our fire department and our police department, who did a great job to contain it to the garage. It's my recommendation we take no action at this time. I'm fully confident, even if we were to set a date of April 27th, it will be completed before the 27th. So I'm happy to adjourn, take no action at this time.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm good.
Okay. Item J, consider reviewing the condition of the following previously condemned properties. First one is 519 North 16th Street.
Yes, there has been no response from the owner. As a matter of fact, I think we've talked about this before. I believe we think he's deceased, but there's been no response, no change in the condition of the property. Nobody that's come forward interested in rehabilitating the property. It would be staff's recommendation that we authorize staff to receive bids for removal.
Okay. We do have 4 options here. We can rescind the condemnation action if the property has met the HQS requirements. We can authorize staff to receive bids for removal. We can table for review or take no action. Don, your
And
recommendation?
our recommendation is you authorize staff to receive bids for removal.
Was there a house close to this that the owner came in and was going to do some
and
work on it?
Yeah, and we'll talk. Yeah, and that's the next property that we'll talk
Oh,
about.
okay.
Yeah.
This one looks very similar to it.
Yes.
Okay. That's what you want to do? I'd make a motion then, and we authorize staff to receive bids for removal of 519 North 16th Street.
I'll second.
Comments? All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Second property is 1005 West Pine.
And this is right next door to that property. So initially, I did meet with the owner. First meeting, he said, just want to take it down. Had a change of heart, said he would try to rehabilitate it. Then he called me back and said that he's had a change of heart. It's too big a project for him. And he has started taking down the buildings in the backyard, and it is his desire to have the structure removed. So it is my recommendation that you authorize staff to receive bids for removal. And I'm not sure if he's here tonight or not.
Okay. Comments?
No.
Okay. Would there be a motion then to authorize staff to receive bids?
I'll move that we authorize staff to receive bids for removal of 1005 West Pine Street.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Number 3 is 1300 and 1304 West Locust.
Yeah, these are owned by the same owner. He initially, if you remember several months ago, he did come to a commission meeting, however, did not remain after the meeting to meet with me. So I have had no further contact from him. In the meantime, these properties have continued to deteriorate. We have received reports that people are coming in and out of, especially the structure at 1304 West Locust. As you can see, that gets worse with every picture that I take. I have received no further contact from him, so it is staff's recommendation that you authorize staff to receive bids for removal on these two structures.
Questions?
Do we need to do them one at a time?
They're listed on one parcel, kind of one
Okay.
parcel.
Okay.
So I'll move that we direct staff to receive bids for removal of 1300 and 1304 West Locust.
I'd second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Takes care of that.
Thank you.
Can I ask Don one question before we let
Yes.
him get away? I had somebody call me this week and said that the city cut off their power. I said, the city doesn't cut off the electric
City
power.
has no authorization.
Can you clarify?
We have no authorization to cut off anybody's power.
But we can keep people from turning it back on? Is that the deal? Because they seem very adamant that it was your fault, that they didn't have electric power, and I didn't quite understand that.
I have a lot of power. I don't have that much power.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I tried to say, that we don't have anything to do with the electric
They
power.
can call for an inspection for me to go out and inspect the meter base. If I inspect the meter base and I find that it's ready to receive a meter, then I put my sticker on there and I contact Westar to let them know that it's ready for meter placement. Okay. If they come out and find that either the pole is unsafe or that it's not attached properly or it doesn't meet their standards, they will not put power on, and I think that's what's happened in this particular case.
Okay, that it was Westar that declined.
As a matter of fact, the two, I was gone last week for training, so Monday of this prior week, we had two people go out and look at it, put stickers on there, and Westar said it didn't meet their standards, and they did not. They did not set meters, but I don't have the authority to decide whether or not somebody gets power or to say that somebody's power gets pulled.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
So,
Appreciate that.
when you go to inspect or to look at a meter box setting, what is it that you're reviewing?
Looking to make sure it's grounded properly, make sure that the wires are in there correctly, that it's ready to receive the meter. I'm not looking inside. I'm just looking at the meter base.
So you're just certifying from basically the back of the meter base
and on
into
a
the
commercial
house.
And on the outside, a licensed electrician has inspected it first and is calling for the inspection. So what I'm doing is verifying what they found. But Westar has their own standards about their service and how it's attached to poles and how it's supported. So they have their own
Weatherhead,
standards.
the
Yeah.
wire attachment.
Right, wire attachment, whether the pole that's being used is secure, whether it's the proper height, and they have the authority to say that whether or not they're going to set their meters. But we don't have that authority to say whether or not, to tell them. All we can say is that we've inspected the meter base and find it safe or find it ready for that to be set, but they have their own set of standards, and they may disagree that it's not ready.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're ready for item K. Consider quotes received for the canopy replacement project and any related action. John?
Okay. You have a spreadsheet up there, it looks like. And what we've got is, everybody's familiar with the miniature train canopy. And if you haven't been by in a while, structurally it's unsafe. And I don't know, I don't want to put it on a condemnation list, but it is. And so the thought was that if we could put together these proposals from contractors who would be able to get on the project and get it done. They have their April 8th park opening, and so that's kind of the push to try to get it down. The idea is that city staff, city crew would demolish it, and then Westar has wanted to do some work, some donation work, and so we would have them actually drill the piers. And then Bennett Backhoe Services has he'll donate his time to haul away the spoils from that. And so we kind of have that put together. And then the rest of it, we asked for some proposals from some contractors to finish the project. And then we kind of based this on an estimate I had done of the cost, including the donated cost, which was over $53,000. So feel comfortable with this. It's just a matter of timing and trying to get it done.
When we bid this before, there was some other work.
Yeah. Now, when it was bid out before, it was part of a larger project that really had more to do cost-wise with drainage, paving, ADA.
Yeah.
Now, this is basically going back and putting it back a little different fashion structurally, but same size that it is now. But the way this is designed, it's such that later we can go ahead and add the paving for ADA, do the drainage work, and do everything else around it. So
It's a coordination of the timing of this, because this is, several different contractors and stuff. How do you anticipate that working, John?
Well, we feel it can be done in time. I mean, the key thing is getting Westar in and getting those piers drilled, and working around their schedule. Now, they have, talking to Joanne with Westar, I think it's just going to be like a couple of their people. And then they would like to also donate, if they have the time during the erection, and maybe work with the best proposal for the timber erection was SEK. And so they might, help them a few days, and SEK could give us back some money for that donation. But the main thing for them now would be to drill the piers, because they have the equipment to do that.
This is the only concrete work then you've got under the canopy for the loading area?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're doing a 2-foot by 5-foot deep pier, and then on top of that is a 16-inch square by 12-inch high little cap that squares it up, and the gravel kind of goes up to that, and then that encompasses the post base and on up with the structure. So yeah, there's no real flat work. It's just structural concrete work.
In your section, it shows flat work on the passenger side of the rails for loading.
And if you look at it says future, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be. We kind of took what we had done before and incorporated some of that into the drawing. So, and that's something, like I say, that's something that could be done pretty quickly. But you have to go back. There was even some parking, some accessible parking to the east, on the other side of the loop that the train goes. That was part of it. Drainage work. It ended up being quite a bit of money, and I think it was more than we had budgeted. So this at least gets the dangerous structure out of the way, gets a new structure up before park opening, and gives them some protection, at least in the loading area there.
So West Star and Bennett Backhoe then are going to donate their services, and then basically we're just paying for some, mostly materials and some labor for the
Yeah,
rest of it.
and I've kind of got the highlighted contractor here for each one of the divisions, so you can kind of see who all would be involved. Basically, local folks, which is good. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So Travis Blankenship, even though he wasn't low on this, he's going to donate some services because he does a lot of work out there.
Okay.
And the other thing too, we will have a little bit of electrical because we're going to put some LED lights underneath it, so it'll be lit.
Okay.
What amount did we have budgeted for this?
We have set aside, or have kind of tagged $60,000 in the special use sales tax for that. And I left the number at $60,000, even though these numbers came in. Obviously, there will be inspection costs from Heckman and Associates. So, I mean, there's a little bit more that goes into this. So $60,000 is what we have out of special use sales tax.
We're just going to try to coordinate it all, since there won't be a general contractor,
Right.
putting the paid folks with the donated and all. So I think it's pretty good. It's a good little project to try to get done in time if we can, for sure.
Okay. Other questions?
No.
Nope.
Okay, so we're going to, city staff is recommending that we authorize city crews to remove the existing train canopy and then award the lowest proposals as listed up there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different contractors or vendors there, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Would there be a motion then to allow city crew to, I'll make a motion to allow city crews to remove the existing train canopy, award the lowest proposals to TMC Construction, Woods Lumber, SEK Construction, H&H Roofing and Restoration, Connolly Painting, DNA Electrical Systems, and to publicly thank Blankenship, West Star, and Bennett Backhoe for their contributions to this project, donations to this contract.
I'll second.
Okay. Did you get that, Jen? Good. You would have got that too, right? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's exciting to get this going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Okay, item L. Consider partnering with the county on bidding out street improvements and selecting locations. Kelly?
City staff has been meeting with the City-County Partnership Committee monthly for about the last 3 months or so. And one thing that's came out of this is the county has offered to allow us to bid with them when they go out to bid for some road work. And we're hoping with, having a larger project, maybe we can get some good prices. We haven't done local street work for a while. I mean, we've done a lot on the highways and things like that, but the local streets, we haven't, lately done any projects there. So we thought this might be an opportunity to partner with them and then also maybe get, save a little money by doing it this way. We've got some locations to look at, and after we look at the locations, then Jen will go over some funding options. Sean Turner's here also. He helped put together some of the estimates. I did print out some sheets, but my printer's having issues, and the yellow lines are in the wrong place, so ignore the yellow lines. So they're on the right place on there, but they're kind of moved over on this one. And the first one is Maple Street, and it would be to resurface West Maple from the Union Pacific tracks west to Peter Pan Road. Union Pacific tracks are the ones by the sanitation yard at 21st and Maple. And then Sean's here on that, and I've got prices on that. Now, with the county, they would not be bidding out the striping. All they would be doing is actually the resurfacing work. It would not, the other striping and different things we would have to bid out as a separate package later on. We also have an alternate one because that one's like $356,000, but of course that includes the striping and those things too. And right now that road is not striped other than the railroad crossing is with the marks stripe with the paint marks, but other than that it does not have a stripe on it. Then there's an alternate we could do that would go to the Waco track to Peter Pan. That's really the worst piece of that road. And it would be approximately 25% of that cost if you wanted to do that location as an alternate, because doing the whole location's it's pretty expensive. The next one would be the resurface North 5th from Oak to the county maintenance line, which is north of Elk Pen. We've had a lot of complaints on this road, and especially with all the improvements at the stadium in that area. There's a lot of use on that road. And we have an estimate on here of the 178,400. Again, that also includes an extra part of that includes $30,000 for additional asphalt that would widen and pave parking near the stadium, and that could be kind of an optional thing. There's some gravel there that they park on. They have for quite some time, and this could be an opportunity to pave that if you so desire. So that's another location. And then mill and overlay Laurel Street from 8th to 10th. We've had some department heads that's been here for many, many, many years, and they said they don't ever remember that being done. So whoever did it must have done a good job because it lasted a long time. But it's time it needs to be redone. And so that one's around $100,000 for that one. And there are a few curb ramps on that one. There's 3 curb ramps. I believe some of the curb ramps that are there do not meet the 2% slope, so they need to be replaced. So that's another location. And then this one is 19th from Sycamore to Pine, and this one, if you decided to do it, we would pay for out of the utility fund because actually it was damaged when they did some major line work. And so they would fund that. We have an estimate if it's a 2-inch overlay of around $34,000. There are some curb ramps, but I've been talking to Sean, and there's a sidewalk on the west side that there's no houses there, and there's already a sidewalk on the east already. So if we took the sidewalk, the pieces of it off the west, then you wouldn't have to, have curb ramps that, really aren't needed. So he's here if you have any questions about that. And then if you wanted to do a more extensive one, full depth replacement, because it is in pretty rough shape, it would be around the $60,000, $70,000 range. And
has it got brick under the asphalt?
I don't know if that would have brick there or not. I don't think so.
It didn't look like it when I was out by there.
The holes don't look like there's brick under them. And then I just threw this in here because when we worked on our capital improvement plan, these were the street locations that were identified, that needed to be done in the future. And some of these are on there, but some of them they're not the same distances on some of them. So in case you wanted a resource to look at that, I included that information. So, like I said, Sean's here if you have questions about the estimates. We're just kind of needing some direction, and then I'll turn it over to Jen. She has some funding options for this.
So when we were doing the Clink projects and the geometric project, there was, we were struggling to put together the dollars. Mm-hmm. So you have a funding plan.
Well, it's a question for you. The Economic Development Fund, when we brought to you some Clink projects that we hadn't figured out what the ADA piece is. So we have those numbers now, and you still have money in your Economic Development / Transportation Fund. But it's your choice how you want to use it. Some of these street projects, perhaps you pick one of them to fund out of that. I think you should have an Economic Development Fund report in your packet tonight, so if you'd like to consider that. But based on the commitments that we know we have for the next year, as well as the revenue that we expect to come in 2017, you still have available funds of $797,000. You gentlemen just have the tough call of, do you have economic development uses for them in front of you, or do you want to spend it on transportation? The other thing is, Mike and I have been emailing back and forth with our bond attorneys. The clink reimbursements have just come in on the last two projects, which is $350,000. We bonded the entire amount of those projects in the bond. So they were funded completely by the bond. So when this refund comes in, now we have even more excess funds. It's supposed to arrive in our bank tomorrow of about $350,000 from the clink reimbursement on the clink projects we have done. So you have that $350,000 available.
I was looking for a total on all this, Jen. How much
I'm sorry?
How much was the total on all these? All 1, 2, 3, 4 projects. How much was the total?
It kind of depends on which options you would
Yeah.
take on which one too, because some of them have different options. And we're not suggesting that you do all of them. These are the ones that we thought were the worst, that needed the most attention.
I think if you were to take them all at full cost, it's slightly over $700,000.
Okay, so I was trying to do the math real quick in my head.
Just a little over $700,000.
So you're not recommending, I mean, you're just saying go out to bid and see where we're at.
Yeah, I wouldn't bid out ones that you're not having any anticipation of funding, though. Like on this Maple one, probably be better just to do the shorter run, because that's the worst section, and then maybe consider some of these others.
What's the schedule that the county was looking at submitting bids?
They're wanting the width, depth, and length, and all the measurements tomorrow. Yeah, so I mean that's when they were wanting it to go out to put their bid package together.
Yeah. Well, I thought part of what we had talked with Trainer was looking at a master plan and putting all this, City Hall, streets, water department, all these other issues, so we can get a schedule and, to make a decision for tomorrow. I don't feel comfortable.
Right, but once
looking at that now.
you don't have to award them after the bid out. I mean, if you just want to bid out some of them to get a price, if you don't like the bid, you don't have to accept it. We just thought it'd be an opportunity to maybe save some funds by partnering with the county and some other cities.
Yeah, I love that idea. Have we tried that before?
Well, we've done like Cement Street is a shared street, and we did a deal on there, but no, I don't think to this scale, no.
So
We're trying to, and actually, I think Leonard was the one that suggested we do the city-county partnership stuff.
Yeah,
And
I
so
love the
this is
idea.
just something that came out of it, and so
I was just trying to get a sense of whether it really saves us a significant amount of money or.
I don't think we'll know unless we did it. I did get the quantity costs from the last time they went out to bid, and I sent that to Sean, and it kind of ranged from $50 to $70 a ton, I think is what it was running.
Yeah, what I recall from the county bids last time, the low bid was around $52 a ton. And then there was a big jump to the rest of the bids. They were in the 60s. For these estimates, we use $70 a ton, so there's contingencies built into the estimates. But in the unit prices, there's not really a line item for contingencies.
Well, I'm like Leonard. I mean, we've got this committee, and I think we've got to let them do their work.
I just hate circumventing them. We've kind of put that task.
I mean, I hate to miss out on economies of scale. But
Yeah, I love the idea. I just don't think we're quite ready for it.
Wow, tomorrow, huh? Well, I'm like you, Leonard. I just think we need to let the committee do their job and do the prioritizing, and sound like we'll have some money to do some stuff with it. And I mean, I think it's a great idea, like you're saying, Gary, to do the economies of scale, but I hate to jump ship on them.
Yeah, I love the idea, but
We've got to start
Planning.
the plan and sticking.
Yeah.
Because we can wait, and they're going to do it again next year. Maybe by then we'll have the order.
Is that what the county does? Do they do this yearly? Is that,
Yeah, typically they do, yes.
do they? So we'd have an opportunity.
And some of those streets are pretty rough, though.
Yeah.
We only have 15,000 in the
Maple.
street patching budget, so it's not going to go very far.
Yeah, that Maple Street's bad. No. Well, that's a tough one. What do you think?
Again, I love the idea of partnering with the county. I just don't think we're prepared to move that quickly. And I mean, we don't know what we're going to be spending on City Hall at this point, or the water treatment plant, or we may have some much more urgent matters. I agree the streets need attention badly, but I can't see trying to save a little bit and rushing on with this.
Yeah.
So I vote we not do anything.
Be for tabling.
Okay. I'll submit the locations to Trainer then.
Okay. Yeah,
Thanks.
yes, that's great. Okay, item M then is consider a proclamation proclaiming March 3rd, 2017 as Employee Recognition Day and Independence.
We have a social committee, and the chairman of that, Lydia Collins, brought this to me and asked if the commission would so desire to adopt this proclamation, basically expressing our gratitude to our crews and employees. And we'd also like to, we planned on taking these to each of the departments along with some donuts or something on March 3rd, just saying, hey, we appreciate them, and with a copy of the proclamation. We just thought it would be a nice gesture for our employees.
I think it's a good gesture.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I love
In
it.
education, they typically will recognize teachers, support staff, maintenance folks. I think it's a great idea. Okay, we'd need a motion then to authorize the mayor to sign the attached proclamation declaring March 3rd, 2017 as Employee Recognition Day.
Was that a motion?
Yes, I'd make that
I'll second.
motion. Okay. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes, and that's a good one to pass. Feel good about that one.
Do
Okay.
you want to read the motion or the
Oh,
proclamation?
yeah. Good thought. I didn't practice this, so. Whereas, this is the Employee Recognition Day of March 3rd, 2017, whereas the city employees are dedicated to contributing to the well-being and quality of life for all citizens of Independence, and whereas city employees provide essential services to the citizens of Independence in many areas, including public safety, enforcing the laws, safeguarding the environment, building and maintaining roads, operating plants, repairing and replacing water and sewer lines, discarding refuse, recycling, assisting customers, maintaining parks and cemeteries, and whereas city employees serve as responsible stewards of taxpayer funds and engage in efforts to improve operations and enhance services throughout the city, endeavoring to perform their jobs with professionalism and integrity, making government services more accessible and responsive to the needs of the citizens of Independence, and whereas Independence is honored to join other cities across the nation on March 3rd, 2017, to extend our appreciation and gratitude to all City of Independence employees for their continued spirit of dedication. Now, therefore, I, Fred Meyer, Mayor, City of Independence, Kansas, do hereby proclaim March 3rd, 2017 as Employee Recognition Day in Independence, and call this observance to attention of all citizens, encouraging them to commend the extraordinary efforts and commitment of our city employees. I actually like that a lot. And matter of fact, they're here, some of them, so I want to clap for them and thank them for what they do for us. And thanks for, that's a good one to read.
Thank you.
I didn't blow it too bad. All right. Next item is consider the results of 2 core complaints and any necessary related actions. I have a press release here that I'd like to read in regards to this. On February 1st, 2017, a copy of a letter dated January 30th, 2017, addressed to Debbie Miller was sent to the city attorney as a courtesy copy. In this letter, the Kansas Attorney General advised Ms. Miller that the complaint her attorney had filed under Kansas Open Records Act, from now on it will be referred to as CORA, was being denied as no violation had occurred. The letter outlines and details the complaint. The complaint stemmed from the February 5th, 2016 CORA request made by Ms. Miller to the City of Independence, which included a request for all documents pertaining to the transfer of ownership of the former Mercy Hospital and to the City of Independence, and then specifically listed some documents, including the letter of intent. The city clerk determined that the letter of intent from Mercy had never been executed or approved by the city. So in her response, the city clerk responded to this request stating no letter of intent was executed between Mercy and the City of Independence. Ms. Miller did not question the response or ask for clarification. Later, on March 16, 2016, Ms. Miller made another CORA request for the city of additional documents, and this request also included a request for the production of the Mercy letter of intent. The city provided Ms. Miller a copy of the unexecuted letter of intent. The letter from the Kansas Attorney General goes on to state that on May 12th, 2016, Ms. Miller, through her attorney, filed a CORA complaint with her office. In their letter opinion, the Attorney General's office concluded that because of the letter of intent was not executed, the city did not consider it to be a document related to the transfer of real estate and thus did not include it. The city did not attempt to hide the fact, and Ms. Miller did not ask for clarification, so there was no violation. In fact, the letter goes on to point out that Ms. Miller received a copy of the letter of intent as a part of a later CORA request made by her prior to the time she filed her first complaint. Number 2, on February 2nd, 2017, a letter addressed to outside counsel representing the city informed the city that a second CORA complaint filed by Ms. Miller on May 12, 2016 did have merit, and that the Attorney General's office determined that a violation had occurred. The second CORA complaint had to do with a request for reproduction of a blank copy of the evaluation tool used by the City Commission to evaluate the city manager. When this CORA request was received, the city clerk was not aware of such a document and consulted the city attorney. He, likewise, was not aware of such a document, but upon inquiry of the city manager and the city commissioners, it was determined that such a document did exist. At the time, city staff questioned how Ms. Miller would have known such a document existed, since it had never been in the light of day outside of executive session, and that the only parties that were familiar with it were the city manager and the city commissioners. The city attorney's recommendation was to produce the document, since the request was not for a completed evaluation form, which would be protected from disclosure, but simply a blank evaluation form. As such, the city attorney did not feel that it was protected by an exemption. The city manager sought a second opinion with an outside counsel. The second opinion was that this was a gray area of CORA and that the city, in its discretion, could decide not to produce the document as it was a personnel document. To make a long story short, the Attorney General's office disagreed. They pointed out that the document was actually a downloaded form that had been obtained by the city manager for the purpose of his evaluation process. It was in the public's domain and could have been obtained by anyone had they known where to look. The Attorney General's office requested that the city enter into what is called a consent order admitting the violation, and paying a $250 civil penalty, which it is the intent of the city to do so. The consent order also provides that appropriate city staff should attend appropriate training regarding KORA issues, and that will occur. Been talking with Kelly today. You worked, Kelly, on the additional training or the 1 hour as it requested training, and what our discussion was today.
Yes, we're working on finding some training. There's one in Kansas City coming up in March, but we also talked to the league, and we're going to see if we could schedule them to come down so that we can do more than just one staff person. That will be Mr. Borovet's duties as far as open records, but I think it's good for as many people to go through the training as we can. So I'm trying to get that arranged, but if we can't get that arranged in time, then we'll send Mike to the one in Kansas City.
So one of the things that you and I had discussed was the possibility and actually the suggestion that we include department heads and other key personnel.
Yes, we would have our staff members, and then we would also probably invite like the city of Coffeyville and some other surrounding cities if they have staff that would like to join the training as well, so that while the league's down here, we might as well, it's part of this partnership thing, share in the training. It would be an opportunity to do so.
Share the cost. Okay.
Any reason to wait till our new city manager is on board?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If you get them on board within 90 days so we don't get in trouble.
Oh, they give us a deadline? Okay.
Yeah, we have to do it within
let's
3
move
months
forward.
of the consent order. So if you have that done, then absolutely. And unless we can get an extension on it and do it when they get here.
Maybe no reason to wait. What do
So
you guys
Jeff,
think?
that covers the city.
We need a motion for you all to permit the mayor to approve or sign the consent order.
Okay. So, would there be a motion then to approve the mayor signing the consent order?
I make a motion that the commission authorize the mayor to sign the consent order regarding the KORA complaint.
I'll second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. Then, other comments by commissioners?
Nope.
All right. All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Reports. Item O. Reports on city projects and other updates. Number one was the annual report.
The annual report is in your packet. We're going to put a version of that out on the website as well. I don't have that out there yet, but we will do that soon. We're not going to go through all 20-some slides, so you can get a break. But if you do have any questions about anything, I do have a copy of it if we need to go to any particular slide to answer any questions. Does anybody have any questions on it after reviewing it? Okay.
I don't remember any.
Okay. You've got the next one.
One other question, the issue of city cleanup, citywide cleanup. So we've done that. 1 year, I know we did it twice. We've done that in the fall, spring and fall. This year, we're doing it when?
Usually, the one funded by the city is the one in the spring. There is a cleanup effort in the fall, right before Neowalla,
Right.
but that is not a huge
That's
cleanup
not.
funded by the city.
Okay, so that's coming up this spring.
I don't know that I've
Well,
heard a date.
Mike's here. That's his.
Is Mike on it?
You almost got away.
Citywide cleanup, Mike. Is that,
Do we have a date for citywide cleanup?
that's not, I caught him cold. October? Okay.
Oh, that's not
All right.
spring.
Well, the reason it came up is somebody had asked me, and I had read it, and I couldn't find it about disposal of tires.
There is one of the things that has been approved tonight already, I believe, or maybe that's yet to come, is the disposal of tires at the recycling event in April. Maybe that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about. But that's not
okay.
tied to a cleanup. That's tied to the recycling event.
Okay. Actually, I knew that I had read something, I couldn't find it. All right. Report on operational costs for temporary city hall.
Okay, so you have a report with the 2016 actual, and then we have provided the 2016 proposed budget. Now, this budget was done back in July when we did not know what this building was what the use of the building was looking like. I have tried to adjust numbers a little bit, but all these $500 items down at the bottom, we had a conversation in staff meeting today that we need to get valid numbers on those now that we know that we're in the building and what those are. It looks like for this year, or this past year, 2016, $187,037 is the operating loss on this building. That's after we have accounted for the revenue from the sale of property, as well as the revenue from the lease, and then taking into account all of the expenses. That was expected to be funded out of the Memorial Hall tax credits. Memorial Hall tax credits has a $510,000 balance, so you take out $187,000. Gets you really close to what, based on this proposed budget, your shortfall is next year, which is $311,071. Knowing that some of these numbers are wrong, I expect that loss to be a little bit lower. That wipes out your Memorial Hall tax credit fund at the end of next year.
Okay. All right, questions?
For the control system, is there a maintenance agreement on it?
When you ask control system, you mean?
HVAC? The college uses the same controls, and what they were doing was trying to find out and work with the hospital when they had a tech coming so they could share and cut costs. So for the actual system controls, not the components, that's what I didn't know, if there's a service agreement with them that we could kind of pair ours with theirs so we can take advantage of that savings. Yeah, you might check with their director of maintenance. She's familiar with how it worked, or they got it to work so that it could save both facilities.
Okay. Gary, you have any questions? Okay.
Yeah, better call quick.
All right. Report on the possible utility upgrades for temporary city hall.
I just included information in your packet to answer some questions that were asked last time, and I, clarified those with Mr. Mankin. And so that's all that is for. So.
Okay. Questions from the commission on that?
This is just more in detail of what he talked to us about. We're not proceeding with anything yet, or
No, we'll give all this information to Trainer and as part of their evaluation, because like I emailed you,
Right.
I think yesterday. I'm honestly, it probably would be a good idea to have another party take a look at that and verify it. So I'm sure Trainer can do that through their process. It's just always a good idea if somebody's selling you something to have somebody else verify it. And if the city does decide to do this, it'd be good to, have somebody else prepare specs, go out to bid, and have them inspect the work too. I mean, when you're talking this kind of money, then, that's just a good idea.
yeah, some of the items, it kind of falls into that whole plan that Trainer's talking the future of the building. You might make modifications now to systems that we don't know. It could be adversely affect the resale or some of the components that go in, like particularly where they're talking long-term changing from a steam boiler to hot water. Coil size changes when you change with the media, and pipe size, duct size.
Well,
valves and controls.
These improvements did not include making that modification because based on the cost of gas, he said it would have such a long payout. So that's not included in these ones that would save the 2/3. It did include that modification.
But if you, in the long plan, if you do plan to change boilers, then you change back all the coils you just put in.
Right, and that would be above and beyond this,
Right.
this recommendation of what he had put together for us.
Okay. Okay, you have any questions? Okay. All right, special use sales tax. Jen?
There's very little change to this from last month. This was really included in the packet to have the train canopy discussion, unless you have other questions.
Well, I did.
Okay.
On the building facility improvement fund, you know, we've been concerned about funding for some of the repairs at the water treatment plant. Well, you know, if for now, if we're not going to go ahead and put a new roof on City Hall, the existing City Hall, then we've got designated $889,000 in repair there. That there's some funds in there that we could use to do some of the repairs or modifications to the water treatment plant without depending solely on a rate increase. Because, you know, that I remember the building facility improvements was to help defray some deferred maintenance. So it'd be very applicable to the work that some of the work we've talked about, the service entrance, the distribution panels, the power, the generator for there, that could be a source of funding that we wouldn't have to borrow, bond, or increase our rates. And of course, with the sales tax, it is renewable then from year to year.
That's a reasonable comment. I think that pushes back to the trainer process also, where they're looking at what we're doing and how we're paying for it.
I think that becomes a funding option that they can
Right.
look at for.
Right, I think.
But
committee to
you're right, this
consider.
$889,000 here was related to repairs that were intended to happen at the old City Hall. That's kind of,
Yeah, 'cause we
we
got-
haven't officially encumbered it, but we have kind of tagged those funds, so that's why it's noted down there. Those were
Right.
intended for projects at the old City Hall. You're correct.
But that's what, as I was looking through the schedule, I thought, you know, maybe that would be a source for us to throw in the picture. We've never talked about that, and it would be beneficial for Trainer to consider as a funding source to offset anything we're looking as far as borrowing.
And I was thinking the same thing in terms of the ADA, because there's basically 1.175 million there. You could do the same type of thing with sidewalk streets as well, not sidewalks necessarily, but the ADA improvements, that we could give that same information to the committee so that they could study that and possibly stretch those dollars as well. And because those funding sources are already in place.
Right.
So,
I think the conversations that I've been involved in it's really where do we want to spend the money? And I know that with the water plant, we have the option of the extremely low interest revolving loans. And so I believe that's what Trans-Systems has recommended that we use. But that's knowing that we had other priorities in the city. So I think it comes back down to the trainer process and what they come
Yes,
back with our
it does.
priorities are and how
Yeah.
you break out the funding just across all of what's available in the city to fund everything that you need to do.
Right. And anytime you can work out of your own source without paying interest or a fee, you get more work done for your dollar.
okay. That's a good report to know we had some money in there we can use. Marketing of historic tax credits.
Yes, we have received the final dollar amount on the tax credits from the work done, I'm not sure how many years ago at Memorial Hall, but we have $140,000 of tax credits now. Obviously, you don't get $140,000 out of those, but we're working to get those out for proposals to try to liquidate those to replenish what we can into the Memorial Hall tax credit fund.
Can expect to get, what, about 80% of that?
I'm actually hearing estimates closer to 90 cents on the dollar, but
90?
I haven't,
Really?
nobody's put that in writing, and we would need to get proposals to see what we can get. So,
Are those available for individuals to purchase, or are they just purchased by banks or lending?
I believe
know?
when we put them out for sale, I mean, I've gotten phone calls from Mr. Block of H&R Block. I mean, this was a
Okay.
year ago when he heard we were getting some, but we hadn't finalized, and wanting to know if he could make a proposal on them too. So, I mean, we'll put it out on the website. We'll put it out, let people know we're taking those proposals, and I mean, I think we're open to whoever would like to come in for them.
Great.
Will we expect your proposal quickly?
I don't think I can get to the 90 cents.
Okay, just
Maybe
check-
85.
Just checking. All right.
Okay. Number 6 is the Economic Development Fund.
And once again, this hasn't changed much, except we have added the numbers in there for the Clink and the Penn and Laurel that we committed to out of this fund. I included this also for the conversation related to streets if you wanted to do anything with that.
Okay, questions? Okay. Accepting vehicle tires.
This was another thing that came out of the city-county partnership meetings, is the county has gotten a grant to dispose of tires, and then they graciously offered to pay what the grant doesn't cover from the county budget. So, hey.
Yeah.
So on April 1st, as part of recycling, since we're having that anyway that day, and that's the day they want to accept them, we're just going to do it as part of that, because we already have our volunteers out there. And so from 8 to 12 at 21st and Maple, you can bring up to 7 vehicle tires, light vehicles, no trucks or heavy trucks or tractors, and the rims have to be removed. And then we will transport them over on Monday to the county barn, and they will get rid of them for us for free.
Yeah, good.
For free.
Free to us.
Good price.
Did you get that in writing?
Okay. And then the last one is the Hometown Showdown. And that picture there,
Yeah, and it
doesn't
of course,
do it
it's not
just- it
really
doesn't do it justice.
green. It's actually orange, but they had the photo contest. They have 64 brackets. They had 80 people join it. And so they're doing this wild card thing, and Independence is in the wild card to get those extra 20-some cities down to 4 to start the bracket. So it started today.
Wow.
So if you have Facebook or you have kids that have Facebook, they can go out, and it's on the city Facebook page that they can get to it, and they need to click on the picture and then click like. And right before the meeting, I screenshot this, and we had about 200 likes, but I think we have some other cities that have a lot more, so we need to get busy. So, and this will continue each week, kind of a double elimination until we get eliminated. If we get into the other bracket, then it will go on further. But only the 4 out of 20 are going to make it past this round. So, just let everybody know to vote for our picture.
this is the contest where, not last year, but 2 years ago, I believe it was, we
got second
We got
out of
second.
60-some cities.
So-
So, yeah, we did really well that year. Last year, we didn't do quite so well. But this picture was actually taken the day that the fountain was dedicated, and it's by Rob Morgan.
Yeah, I want to thank Rob Morgan for this picture, by the way. So that's a good picture, like that. Okay. Board minutes, city board minutes. Questions by anybody on those?
No.
Okay, commission comments this evening. Leonard, you have any comments this
No, I
evening?
don't. Not tonight.
Do you have anything? I don't either. We do have a request for public concerns here from Debbie Miller to talk about miscellaneous comments and questions. Debbie?
Sorry, I'm trying to find a mouse here.
Okay. Make sure we get our time here.
Yeah, why don't you time it, because this one's not working. Sorry.
Okay.
In the demolition agreement Mercy signed with the city, Mercy agreed to give the city $500,000 with the preference that it be used for projects relating to emergency and patient transport services or other healthcare uses. I've wondered why, if this money could be used to improve the energy efficiency of the former Mercy Hospital, as Kelly suggested at the last meeting, it couldn't have been used to build the barn that now houses emergency vehicles. This seemingly could have saved hundreds of thousands of tax dollars. At the last meeting, there was yet another discussion about the dire state of the Water Department funds. There was also yet another reminder that prior to Mickey Webb's arrival, water and sewer rates hadn't been raised in years. At any time during the last 6 years, our city leaders could have conducted a rate study that most likely would have justified a significant increase in water and sewer rates. Instead, they chose to arbitrarily and illegally raise those rates 5% a year. They then moved massive amounts of money from the Water Department fund to the general fund. There's little doubt this contributed to some of the problems now facing our water department. I've wondered why some of the people we pay to run our city didn't know it was illegal to raise rates in this manner. I've also wondered if any research has been conducted to determine what caused these considerable problems within our water department. The goal of the research wouldn't be to place blame, but put measures in place to ensure our water department will always be well maintained and well financed. At the last meeting, I was being inconsiderate by talking too loudly while the commission was conducting business. For that, I sincerely apologize. However, the only thing worse than my behavior was the unprofessional manner in which it was addressed by some of our city leaders. In every supervisory position I have ever held, I was expected to lead by example. That included modeling a professional, patient, and calm demeanor when working with people that wanted to tear me apart because they were upset. By doing so, the individuals I supervised saw how they were to handle similar situations with the people they served. I only hope our new city manager will have this same lead-by-example philosophy, as it may improve the relationship between city leaders and many people they serve. Lastly, I intend to file additional core complaints against the City of Independence. At a future date, I will explain my request for the evaluation form, since the city has now inferred twice that I obtained information discussed in an executive session, something that is an absolute lie, something I consider slanderous, and something for which the city better have proof. Lastly, each spring, this Kansas Attorney General holds free Cora and Coma workshops throughout the state. I attended one of these workshops and found the information I obtained valuable. The city may want to consider sending Mr. Borovitz to one of these workshops in our area.
Debbie.
In our area. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Time for executive sessions. We will go into an executive session for non-elected personnel. Let's start off with 15 minutes. Is that good? 15? Sure. I think 15. I'd like Jeff to be there, 3 commissioners, and we're good with those 4. Okay? So I'd make a motion that we go into executive session for 15 minutes for non-elected personnel. Will there be a second? Second. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we will be back at 7:13. We're going to extend non-elected personnel for 10 minutes. Would there be a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those
And
in
same
favor?
people in there?
Yep.
Aye.
Yeah, same people. Yeah.
Was that a vote? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're back in open session. Be no action tonight after the meeting. After executive sessions, therefore, I'd entertain motions to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye and going home.
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your time.